Okay, so this is a long time coming. Just chatting, checking in video. I feel a little bit better than I look tonight, and I'm awfully disheveled and haggard. I just came off of having a autoimmune flare. And I'm curious, anybody out there listening who has autoimmune disease, do you have a flare right after you get your flu shot every year? Because I got my flu shot Tuesday night and felt kind of out of sorts all day Wednesday, kind of clammy, kind of like flushed and clammy and kind of fatigued and just kind of blah. And then Thursday, I started having a flare, my normal Sjogren's flare, the super dry, stingy eyes, dry nose, dry mouth, dry throat, all the dryness things that go with Sjogren's, but then the joint aches and it hurts like inside my bones too. And the fatigue and the brain fog and just the all around just yuckiness. And we also had a cool front come through, so that might have made it even worse. And I felt horrible Friday, just absolutely horrible yesterday. But today it looks like I'm over it. I slept in, woke up, felt pretty good. So I feel pretty good this evening, trying to get some stuff done. Anyway, I just wondered if it was anyone else who had a flare, a mini flare, excuse me, triggered when you have your flu shot, because it seemed like it came on pretty quick after that. So, all in all, my the Sjogren's is doing pretty good. I still have a lot of flares, but they're only lasting, 48 to 72 hours, so I can pretty much live with that. The nerve pain, the nerve pain is resolved. I've been off the Lyrica for a while, and it was finally decided that the nerve pain was due to the Sjogren's, and Sjogren's is one of the autoimmune diseases that's associated with peripheral neuropathy pain. So none of the other causes made sense, so it was decided that it was probably the Sjogren's causing it. Now I only have the nerve pain when I'm having a flare. And I can put up with it, for 24, 48, 72 hours to not have to take a nerve pain medicine, because I had the allergic reaction to gabapentin, and I had such horrible side effects to Lyrica, and then such a horrible withdrawal period from Lyrica. The other drugs that they were suggesting also had a lot of side effects and physical dependency tendency, and I didn't want to take them. So my rheumatologist suggested that I really put an effort into following anti-inflammatory diet more closely, and I did. And it took away the nerve pain between the flares, so I don't have any nerve pain between the flares. It's only when I have the flares, and then, man, it hurts from my fingertips to about halfway between my elbows and my shoulders, and from my toes to about halfway up my thighs. Feels like I've had, just plunged them into snow. That kind of stingy, achy, frostbitey kind of feeling. And that happens when I have the flare, and then it fades away. Like right now, I have no nerve pain, but Thursday night I couldn't sleep. Last night I couldn't sleep, and when I woke up today, nerve pain was gone. So it's totally the Sjogren's causing it, and now I'm able to limit it to flares, so I can live with that. I can just get through it for a couple days and not have to take those drugs. So that's good, but I'm still having a lot of flares, so my doctor's thinking about putting me on a stronger drug for the Sjogren's, starting to put me on methotrexate. So I had been taking Plaquenil, which had done some good, but the flares are still too frequent, even though they're not lasting weeks, days and days up to weeks at a time. It's still taking me down. It's still taking me down 2 to 3 days about every week to 10 days, and that's not going to work. So I'm probably going to be starting methotrexate soon, which, I mean, it is what it is. So that's really the only thing wrong with me. I mean, I'm doing good with everything else. I had my 2 year follow up brain scan recently. So I had CAT scan. My no signs of anything new, no new strokes, nothing like that. Just the original stroke that's in my parietal occipital area, and then the meningioma. I don't remember exactly where it's at in my brain. It's in the top right. It is a tiny, what they call a calcified meningioma, which means it's probably never going to grow, or it's only going to grow very slowly. It hasn't grown at all, and no measurable growth in the past 2 years, so it's stable. The only thing it does is when I have the flare-ups, tend to have some headaches in the general area where the meningioma is. I talked to my neurologist about it, and he said, well, that just is what it is. He said we're not even going to discuss any type of surgery to remove the thing unless I were having just constant debilitating headaches or seizures. Really, they only go in and take these things out when you start having seizures and stuff like that, and I don't have anything like that. Technically, yeah, I guess it's coded in my chart as a tumor or growth. And I mean, I guess according to my neurologist, if you're going to have a brain tumor, you want to have a small calcified meningioma, because they don't really do anything but just sit there. And it's, something that was probably there most of my life, and they grow so slowly that it's tiny. I don't know, maybe the size of a pinhead, maybe. I haven't asked my doctor. He just says tiny. He says barely perceptible, and it probably won't grow. It's just kind of freaky that it's there. When the doctor first said, well, we found a small benign tumor, and, my heart just sank, because, holy cow, I had a cousin who died of a brain tumor. But it turns out I wouldn't even really call this a tumor, even though technically it probably is. It's just this little thing in there that's not really doing any harm to me. So it gets monitored. I get a brain scan every 2 years to look at it and make sure it's not growing, make sure it's not bleeding, make sure it's not doing anything, but just sitting there and being benign. Everything else is fine. I had cardiac workup. My heart is fine. Despite all the odds, my heart is fine. My lungs, the breathing issues they've decided are environmental related. They ruled out anything serious. They've ruled out almost all allergies. They've ruled out, I'm trying to think of things. They ruled out the big things like pulmonary hypertension, and COPD and all that stuff. It just seems to be, and it's the upper airway. There's nothing going on with my lungs. I even had that kind of stuff scoped, and that was not fun, but they put me out for that for a few minutes. But yeah, so the thing that was going on with the breathing and the coughing, that's not my lungs, and it's not anything serious. They think it's just environmental irritation, which, considering I live in the middle of petrochemical industry, we're still working on trying to move away from here, and it'll probably get better after that. But lungs are fine, heart's fine, kidneys fine, liver's fine, blood glucose is fine, the brain stuff is stable. What else? Yeah, circulation's fine. Everything's fine. So the only problem I'm having is the autoimmune disease and all the stuff that goes around with that, but we're working on managing that. So I'm doing good health-wise. I haven't been able to do a whole lot of stuff. I've been doing a little bit of sewing and a little bit of needlework, like crocheting and stuff, and some alterations for people. Doing a few little sewing jobs for people, and I've got a little side hustle making low-carb, sugar-free beef jerky for some of my husband's co-workers that are all on low-carb and keto diets. And I used to make myself beef jerky for snacks a lot that didn't have any sugar added in it. and made, sliced the way I liked it so it was easier to eat. But I really don't eat red meat anymore now. I limit it so much. There's no point in making it for myself. But these guys all like it, so I've been making it every week and selling it for a small profit. So that's my little side hustle. I have a little side beef jerky hustle going on, and they all seem to like it. Yeah, that's one of the things that they told me to do with the anti-inflammatory eating was to severely cut out red meat. So at first I thought, man, I'm from Texas and I've grown up eating beef all my life. I had relatives that had cattle. We always had the equivalent of a half a cow in our freezer when I was growing up, but the doctor said cut out, if you can cut out red meat to no more than a pound a month, that would be ideal. And at first I thought I'm never going to be able to do that, but I did. So I'm to where I'm only eating one serving of red meat a week, and I'm good with it. So they also had me add some things. They had me add specifically walnuts, olive oil, and avocados for the healthy fats to help with all the dryness from the Sjogren's, and then also it's anti-inflammatory. Eat more fish, eat more vegetables. Rheumatologist told me to try drinking tart cherry juice. So I get tart cherry juice concentrate and mix it with like LaCroix waters and make myself juice spritzers, cherry spritzers, and I drink those. And it seems to be helping. I mean, it made it to where I don't have to take anything for the nerve pain, and it makes it so that the flares only last a couple days, 2 to 3 days. So it is helping, and that's pretty much all I've been up to. My husband's doing his seasonal part-time job on the weekends now, so I'm kind of at loose ends on the weekends, but just getting stuff done around the house and working on projects, working on stuff for other people and working on stuff for myself a lot too. I've got a couple cardigans I'm finishing up for myself, and then I'm going to put my personal projects aside and work on a couple Christmas presents. You saw the videos. We rescued some kittens. My husband was getting ready for work last Friday morning, and there was a storm coming through, and he heard a kitten meowing. And a year, maybe 2 years ago, I don't really remember, there had been a bad storm, and a feral mother cat brought some kittens up onto our side driveway and kept them there for a little while, for a couple days, and then the weather cleared up and she moved them out, and we never saw her or the kittens again. Well, he thought, okay, it's the same feral mother cat with a new litter of kittens, and she's just getting them up out of the storm. But he said, the kitten just sounded frantic and loud and upset, so he went out to check on it, and he found 4 little kittens literally in a mud puddle between a tree and the corner of our fence, and the mother was nowhere to be found, and they were covered in mud and drenched, and the one was just screaming, and the other 3 were just shivering and piled on each other, so he didn't think they were going to live. So he scooped them all up and brought them in, and I cleaned them up, dried them off. We called our vet, what do we do with these little kittens? And they said, you got to get them, you clean them, dry them, and warm them. And so I used damp, warm washcloths, cleaned all the mud off that I could. They said vigorously rub them with the towel, get their blood flowing, and use a hair dryer on medium from a good distance to dry their fur and warm them. So we warmed them, and they perked up. One of them I was really scared about because it wouldn't even lift its head. It was just shivering, and they were all just shivering. And I thought, oh gosh, this poor little kitten's gonna die in my hands, but they all lived. And we found a foster for them who was used to taking in kittens. Our vet said we shouldn't expose Ella to them because Ella has an iffy immune system, and she said just don't expose Ella to them, so we couldn't keep them. But we found the foster. We talked to her on the phone, realized the kittens were older than we thought because they all had their little teeth, and she said, we'll offer them some wet food and see if they'll eat. And by God, they ate. You can see the little video. And she said, well, just, keep them dry, warm, and fed. And then she wasn't able to get them that night, but she got them early the next morning. And we've been checking up with her, brought her some food, and she's already got people lined up that want them, so she's gonna foster them. and then give them homes. But I was so scared. That one little kitten, I just knew it wasn't going to make it, but it did. It wasn't the little one that was meowing right up at the front of the cage so loud. That was the one my husband heard, and it seems like it's the little, like the strongest one of the litter. But one of the other little dark gray kittens was just so weak, and I was so scared for it. But they all made it, and the foster says they're all doing good. The calico had really nasty goopy eyes, but she's treating them, and she said they're about healed, so everything worked out good with the kittens. We're gonna try to trap the mother and maybe get her spayed and ear tipped and release her again. She's completely feral. I see her every once in a while, like maybe once a week. And we talked to my neighbor, and my neighbor tried to trap her one time to try to take her to the, I think it's called Snap, where you can get a feral cat, bring in a trapped feral cat and get them spayed or neutered, and they'll tip their ears so you can release them. But the only cat she was able to trap was the neighbor's indoor-outdoor pet. So she tried trapping it. Our Humane Society will rent you, or at least take a deposit for a cage, but you only get it for a certain number of days. This woman tried to trap the feral mama cat and only managed to get the neighbor's pet. So I might see about getting, renting one of the cages and trying to catch her, but I just don't see her around. We saw her that one time with the kittens, and then we just saw the kittens, and I saw her probably 2 times within the past 2 weeks, kind of prowling around the house. So I think she may have been looking for her kittens, but they were at an age where they were weaned, so they could, they didn't need to be with her. They're not ready to be on their own, but they're going to survive just fine. And that's really it. I mean, that's all that's been going on with me, dealing with the autoimmune stuff, and the kittens were like the big excitement. We haven't been doing a whole lot lately, and with him working 7 days right now, we're not going to be doing much of anything until the beginning of December. We got some fun stuff planned for December, so I'll definitely get some videos of that. We have a day trip we may take. I haven't decided yet. It's kind of a splurge trip, kind of a bucket list trip. If I do it, I'll show a video of it, but I haven't decided if I want to splurge on that day trip or just put that off again. So that's kind of been my life lately. And I mean, everything's going okay as it can. I'm doing a lot better than I was this time last year. So I'm just getting through. Yeah, I'll do some more of my little crochet updates and some other updates and stuff now that I'm feeling a little better. But I'll catch up with you guys again soon. I just wanted to do this catching up because someone asked how I'd been doing, and I'm here. I mean, I'm hanging in there. I'm just getting by. But I'll talk to you guys again soon. So that's it for now.